The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
1, 2, 3!
Good news is there's hope for you, Private. Hope in the form of glorious combat. Battle is the great redeemer, a fiery crucible in which the only true heroes are forged. The one place where all men truly share the same rank, regardless of what kind of parasitic scum they were going in. Still reading, but I'll get it memorized at some point.
For those of you following Paul's journey to memorize Bill Paxton's speech from The Day After Tomorrow, or whatever that was called.
Did you see my eyes going back and forth? Is that it? No matter what kind of parasitic scum you're, I was clearly reading. Yeah. Well, hello.
Gosh. Jeremy Miller, David McKay,
Brennan Marr.
Brennan. I almost said Brendan. I was like, oh, don't screw this up.
Cam.
We got Cam. We got everybody.
We can start now.
We can start.
All right, let's start.
1, 2, 3!
I did all that. Okay. Yeah. Here, that comment from Brennan is, of course, commemorating that Harrison Ford is now a Disney legend. He has been a legend for more than 50 years.
That's our lead story today, right, Paul?
That's right. Making movies since the 60s. But now that Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all of the Lucasfilm projects he's been involved in have moved over into Disney. That's 9 years with them now, right? Since I think Crystal Skull was still since Force Awakens, and I guess that's enough time. And even if you did one movie with them, you get him in the fold, you make him a Disney legend, I think, right?
But kind of crazy, Harrison Ford didn't do a Disney movie until The Force Awakens. Did he do a Disney? Who made Call of the Wild? That feels Disney, but I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. I
know they made 12 versions of it.
But he did like a Buena Vista Pictures or a Touchstone or Hollywood Pictures back in the day. That's not coming to me right away.
I don't think so. Those were slightly low rent affairs in a weird way. Maybe not. But I mean,
but coming in hot with Force Awakens and then making Dial of Destiny and Rise of Skywalker in that the bubble is enough. Give them the hands and footprints. And so they did that. And here it is.
Man, look at him. Look at that guy right there.
Year legend and 100-year legend right there next to each other.
Is he the best? He's the best. Nobody better.
So now if you go to, assuming it doesn't take long for them to install it in the columns on the Disney lot, but if you go to the Disney lot, they've got the walkway of legends or whatever they call it there.
I've never seen that.
As soon as you come in off of, you got to go on the lot off of Burbank or off of
in your neighborhood,
Alameda.
Paul?
That's my neighborhood. When we talk about the Chinese theater, we get to your neighborhood. My neighborhood is the Disney Studios. Well, I used to do the Disney podcast there until COVID. Then we went online and never went back. So
yeah. So you got to drive onto the lot because that's one of life's great pleasures.
It's the best.
I've done it so few times and mostly for screenings. But even then, I'm like driving onto the lot.
Yeah, but the drive on for a gig, I did it for about 4 months, and then we went virtual. But it was if you go in, it's right there to the right. As soon as you enter, you'll see a garden and kind of a walkway with columns. They've got everybody from Billy Crystal and John Goodman back to Richard Sherman and Julie Andrews. And now Harrison Ford will be among the greats. The old men, the great animators from Disney are all on that walk, and he'll be there too.
The entrance you're talking about, though, I have worked in 3 buildings adjacent to that entrance. So,
see, now what we're trying to do is show the people watching the show have the chance to jump online and can look up things like Call of the Wild with 20th Century Fox. So technically Disney now. And I'd be curious to see if any kind of montage they played for Harrison Ford at the big ceremony. By the way, I think they knew who they were inaugurating this year because this is the first year they moved from the Anaheim Convention Center for just the Disney Legend, well, other presentations too, but the bigger presentations of D23 Expo happened at the Honda Center where the Ducks play hockey. So you had,
Oh, really?
6,000-7,000 people there. It was huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more. And so, yeah, they inaugurated James Cameron, Miley Cyrus, who became the youngest Disney legend ever. But when you start as young as she did, and you've put in as much goodwill to the company as she has, that's not too much of a shock either. But yeah,
I believe the Hannah Montana movie was a Miramax production, right? Now also owned by Disney. I can't remember.
Owned early on by Disney, but then not the
true.
Weinstein Company, and I'm sure they're happy to be rid of the entire thing.
Right. They ended that contract just in time. Good timing, those Disney folks.
Paul's Angels shirt is about as hairy as Red Hulk's chest. Yeah, unfortunately, you can see that it's an Angels logo. Well, not that my pride is.
Who's that? Wally Joyner? I haven't followed baseball in a while.
This was Eric Ibar, Gold Glove winner from many moons ago. Not many, but enough. Not Wally Joyner, not Brian Downing era.
You're right.
Not not Frank Tanana old, but
good reference.
But still, a while ago, I used to watch Ibar play. He was a Gold Glover. He was great, but they could never
win. You've been an Angels fan since when? Since you moved out here?
Since
or
Reggie
long
Jackson.
Before? Oh, right.
I was a Yankee fan, and I followed.
And then you
Reggie
saw Naked Gun. It's got to be a movie reference, Paul. Yeah,
kind of. Yeah. Well, also, he left the Yankees, went to the Angels. I went with him, and then the Yankees, to me, became a team not worth rooting for. There's they're supposed to win, so when they do, what's the fun? The Angels aren't. So when they won in 2002, it was like awesome, and they came in as a wild card. It was a story,
Yeah.
Hey, we loaded up on free agents, and now we're going to win. Boring. So
right.
I mean, it's what you're supposed to do, but I don't find it enticing as a storyline. So
right
now, when the Angels work their way out of this quagmire they're in by never putting a team around the greatest player in the game, one of the greatest probably of all time in Shohei Ohtani, and then losing him and not trading him to get something in return, and now Mike Trout injured all the time, they're at the lowest of the low. So
I didn't know any of that.
When they come out of this, it'll be a joyous story.
Yeah.
Well, they'll get some new guys in there, and because they really do have a good farm team when they pulled good guys. They pulled good guys out of their farm. I don't know if say they have a great farm team. No farm team was better than Theo Epstein, who would immediately, whether it was the Sox or the Cubs, invest heavily in the farm system. And then, of course, both those teams he led to World Series. But they do pull good guys out of there. And curious to see who will take off and be the next big thing.
Now,
hopefully they'll be back.
The only real baseball I followed this season is the Cincinnati Reds, that's my minimum, is check their standings. I may not listen to every game. I've listened to a lot of games, but
there's a lot of games.
You know who has it's a lot of games, way too many games. Football, oh my God, 16 games. God bless your cute little heart. That's all I have to pay attention to, and I can watch it the whole season. I'm in on football, but you know who has a great farm team? The Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah?
They keep pulling up guys this season who are like, I'll look at the app and it'll be like, so-and-so hits for the cycle. And I go, who the hell's that? Have I been this out of it? And then I go, a guy they called up 2 weeks ago or whatever. You're like, oh my God.
Now, I bashed the Yankees, but back in the 90s when they were great, it was a healthy mix, I thought, of, getting big names in there, but also your Scott Brociouses, your Dan Pasqua and Mike Pagliarulo. They came out of the farm system and made that a well-rounded team.
Has Kaiser shown you the photo of him, young John Kaiser, at his dad? His dad was Ken Kaiser, a baseball umpire, would do a yearly classic Buffalo / Chicago kind of guy thing. Would do it was a charity thing, but he goes, my dad would, he's like present for charity at the whatever, and Mike Pagliarulo came and gave him a bat and all this stuff, and I go, get the hell out of here. He goes, I got a photo of it. And I go, you please show me the photo of Mike Pagliarulo, which I think is how it's pronounced, with your dad.
I think the G
Pagliarulo.
Pagliarulo.
Now, if I search under Kaiser, won't it show up? Yeah.
Now, the thing is, when I grew up, the Yankees farm team was in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I watched Pagliarulo play. I watched Dan Pasqua play. I watched John Elway play before he chose football when I was a young buck.
Really?
So, yeah, it was fun to watch the guys come up and do stuff. And Tom Mattingly. The man left out the big one. I watch Mattingly play all the time. Got a photo with him, the whole deal.
Oh man. Well, that's the thing is my love of baseball really begins with baseball cards. So you know, Mattingly, those guys, you even name those guys. I'm like, okay, I can figure that out. Yeah, I knew who that is.
Couldn't come up with that pick?
Hold on.
Or-
let's move on to another topic. I'll find it. I gotta go back.
No, we should probably do another 90 minutes of baseball here on the Ford Fiesta.
Welcome to baseball talk on the Ford Fiesta here.
Today, Whitey Ford on the Ford Fiesta.
Major move.
All right, let's you do stuff and I'll show people this as much as I feel like we can get away with. But there's no audio, so we could talk over it. And then maybe we won't get tagged for copyright violation. But here's a little summation of Ford getting his honors at the Disney Legends. Look at that handshake. Look at that handshake. He just manhandles Mickey Mouse. I love it. And then he writes,
look at him. He's the best. Paulie's the best. We should do a show about it. Oh, here, honestly, let me just find text.
And then the face here. The face is great. What the hell am I doing here?
I mean, he's become a whole new Harrison Ford. Like he's now this goofy, great. I mean, and you know the thing, people ask him nerdy questions just to hear him tell them to go screw themselves. I mean,
cares?
it's a thing. It's a bit. Oh, here we go. Oh boy, you're gonna.
Did you shoot
this.
first or did Greedo shoot first? I don't care.
Right.
Stuff is great.
And that was the sort of thing where, like, you know, years ago when that happened, you're like, oh my gosh, what? You know, but now people do it on purpose.
And of course, it is a bit. He knows it's a bit. And when it came time to give his speech at the Disney, he gave a very thoughtful. You should go watch this online, everybody. I won't play it here for fear of copyright strike, but you should go and listen to him talk about films being a collaborative process. You know, there's a thing going around with Jamie Lee Curtis right now that's kind of viral, where she is talking about how she wants to learn the names of the people in the crew. You know, she says she should have name tags. That's a little weird, so she doesn't screw up names. I mean, some people countered with, you know, you can just remember the names of the people. I know there's a lot of them, but that's a movement right now to like make sure we know this is a collaborative effort, especially with all the strikes and everything. And so he talked about and thanked all the people he's worked with over the years, and that was cool. Even the Olympics did a shout out to the volunteers who make that entire thing happen. So
yeah,
it was a good speech.
Hey, and as someone who's worked the crew many times, that means a lot when the actors don't separate themselves from you. I mean, you've done the same thing, right? It's like when those actors that are hanging out with you and palling around with you and talking to you and
eating with the extras, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it if you've got work to do as an actor and you can't be messing around, but if you're making a TV show or whatever, it's like
right, the thing everybody here dreamed of doing, from actor to crew member. But yeah, I've done a lot of crew members.
Posted this on Twitter, but should have given Mickey a Kieran when I was downtown at Philippe,
where?
Philippe, the roast beef place.
Okay.
They serve Kieran.
There we go.
If you're ever downtown LA, I'm going to go get the original French dip, I should say. The original French dip palace. They got it right. They serve Kieran like a beetle.
Wonder how much a Kieran neon sign goes for, because I'm redesigning the space here, Paul. It's actually all going to flip around, actually. I'm going to get more light from the window. But I think a neon sign on the wall here or something would be a nice addition,
awesome.
You know?
Yeah, hit the internet.
Neon? Yeah. I got to go look. Well, you know what?
Kirin Lager Biru kudasai. No. Kirin Lager Biru kudasai.
Kirin Lager Biru.
Mr. Biru. Kirin Lager Biru.
Kudasai.
Kudasai. We got to work on our greetings. Kudasai.
Desne. Actually, Desne.
Desne. Okay, Paul, you ready for the greatest photo of all time?
Lay it on us.
There's young John Kaiser on the left. Mike, and here comes Mike Pagliarulo here. There's Ken Kaiser. He's got a baseball bat. I mean, his dad looks like it looks like Al Capone with that thing.
He totally does.
Now you know, as as a Midwesterner from upstate New York, Paul, as we know, that's all the Midwest still. You're going to just love that just anything in your hometown would be done at the Diplomat Party House, Ken Kaiser's Celebrity Sports Dinner. Is that not the best photo you've ever seen? And why Pagliarulo's wrist is broken it was explained to me by Kaiser. I mean, that is just genius. Look at that, the Diplomat Party House. I love it so much. Look at Kaiser. And that is, I mean, this is what's so funny. This is what's so funny about Kaiser's got so many ridiculous stories and just the little details that he glosses over, like, yeah, there I am with the zebra cummerbund over my neck. That was for a thing. I'm like, what? Yeah, I won a zebra cummerbund I wore to the something reception after this or whatever. Like, as if there isn't enough going on in these photos with Mike Pagliarulo, the Celebrity Sports Dinner, little Kid Kaiser thing there, Diplomat Party House, and
I hope Ken's saying something. I hope Ken's saying something like, "Yeah, Pagliarulo hit for the cycle with this thing. I'm gonna whack my son over the head next time he gets out of line."
Next time he gets out of line. Oh my God, look at young John Kaiser. So those are epic.
The Diplomat Party House.
The Diplomat Party House, is that just like classic? Like, well, got to gather somewhere, for the fundraiser and auction off some bats and zebra stripes cummerbund and.
For those who don't know John Kaiser, just tune into our Apocalypse Now episode of the Ford Fiesta, and you will get a thorough schooling on who John Kaiser is. He's a trip.
He's a trip.
Asshole!
That was Adam.
Yeah.
Speaking of episodes of the Ford Fiesta, it's been a long time, but we finally
Paul,
get
what's
a new.
this? What in the world's this? When did we record that? 96?
We're wait, what? Say what?
When did we record that? 96?
Yeah, right. It seems that way. It was over a year ago. I think the news we were talking about was that Shrinking is coming out. So,
right.
But edit it down to just the best parts. And most of those are our fantastic guest, William Bibbiani. So go out and listen to the Working Girl episode of the Ford Fiesta, and you'll be not disappointed.
What's funny, Paul, is now I get to be surprised by listening to a new episode of the Ford Fiesta. I'm like, I forget everything we said and how we talked about it and what the script for the Working Girl. So I get genuine laughs out loud at our plot descriptions because I've forgotten them,
Yeah.
It wasn't turned around that week, Well, thank you, Paul.
The other thing we're
busy summer
debuting
is coming to an end, so I
well, thank you to the interns who've been helping us out. We had an intern named Kel and another one named Isaiah, who since April have been working on videos and such and editing episodes of the show. So that's why we will have Working Girl, and then I think in a week and change we'll have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and then like 2 weeks after that we'll have Presumed Innocent. So back to back to back. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade has our guest. Mara Kanopik, and Presumed Innocent has. Do you even know who the guest was on Presumed Innocent? See how long ago we recorded this shit? It's Brendan Meyer.
Yeah. That's why I almost said Brendan when I saw Brendan pop up here, and I was like, wait, that's not it. It's Schmodown friends, but who?
Oh no, you can't. We edited those out.
Just out the window.
Which is what you do. But so to give you a little example of what to expect from the Ford Fiesta Working Girl. Great movie, right? I mean, you can even go back and watch our old Ford Fiesta Live talking about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
We loved it so much. But Bibbiani brought it, and here's a little fun example of our conversation and what will be now, starting this week, another return to at least 2 times a week, Movie Guys Shorts. So we'll have Movie Guys Shorts coming out to get into that market. And perhaps, I don't know, I might even put them over on TikTok. I don't want to go crazy, though. We'll see what happens.
We got to do it, Paul. You can't. We can't keep laying down on this TikTok thing. Hey, we can't keep having been burned by Vine. We got to get over it. But we should put the Vine logo in the corner of our TikTok videos we upload.
We should just put all those old Vine videos up. Screw it, They're sitting there.
Yeah.
They're movie reviews of old movies, but what the hell?
We had a fun format on Vine. Do you remember our little format on Vine? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the poster of a movie and the name of the movie.
And we
a
like
blurb review.
Yeah.
And then we just would go. When we're done, we just go off camera.
Yeah, it was one of our type movie guy jokes where we describe the plot. A doctor tries to only to realize, but so it's real quick and short. That was I liked our Vine.
I think I still have those all somewhere. But here's an example of Bibbs telling us about the Working Girl TV show, which we didn't know was a thing.
I forgot.
There was a sitcom of Working Girl. It came out 2 years later. It was a mid-season replace. It was. It's not great. It takes place at the Trask Industries, and it kind of just says she's already working there. Her boss is kind of a terror. Her boss is played by Nana Visitor from Deep Space Nine. And her love interest is played by George Newbern, who would eventually be the voice of Superman. And she was played by Sandra Bullock.
What? Like, what?
Timing by Isaiah there.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, well, that was what was cool. One time, you did a lot more work coordination, or you did all the work coordinating with the interns. So God bless you for that. But I did get to meet both of them on a Zoom or whatever, and that was he was much more into like that comic timing was a very good interest to him. So that's cool.
Yeah, I saw the Roka short recently. Yeah, that we had that for a minute. I think we only had 2 for the 6 months. Well, now we're gonna have 2 a week fairly regularly or more, because I know Adam's inspired to crank some out too. So.
Yeah, I want to do the plots, because I think if you put them up as a story, you could get basically in 5 videos, you take all of our jokes or whatever and just cut it down to just give you the plot of the movie, but it's in 5 little jokes. I think it'd be that fun little story format or something.
Yeah. And we went back and forth to come up with this, look and feel.
There was a sitcom of Working Girl. It came out 2 years later. It was a mid-season.
Because our show is obviously shot in 16:9, but if you want to do the vertical format, you just put it in the center, blow it up, and put the blur on the back half, titles top and bottom, and go. So, it was working back and forth, and I think the interns learned a lot about how to do all that kind of stuff and add text and things.
Yeah.
So, they're high schoolers, so they're going to take those skills on to whatever's next.
Yeah, it's more than, and if they're into movies and this sort of topic, but they're going to have to, when they're going into media, they're going to have to work with far less interesting topics than we are, far less interesting hosts than us. So that's
Could you edit together our videotape of all the speakers who spoke at our Johnson & Johnson product push launch party? Oh boy.
Unremarkable.
But so here's a little tease then of what to expect when Mark Knopik is joining us for Last Crusade.
This was
Morphing technology used in Willow was now applied to a human character as Donovan goes through his stages of
Well, I'm
aging
glad
and-
something good came out of Willow.
short and sweet. But
it's short and sweet. Exactly.
that's her take on Willow.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what a short should be. That or someone doing something really weird and interesting, but never shows the payoff. Here's my GoPro on my head as I crash down the thing, and then they don't show the shot it got. And you're like, all right, what is a short?
Yeah. Well, as ever, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a saturated medium. So
Yeah,
that's the ones we get in on.
exactly. Let's wait till you get this. Make sure it's not another Vine, and then we can hop in.
Well, I'll
that's
show you
awesome,
one
Paul.
more. I'll show you one more. And hopefully this format.
This
does
is great.
stick
These
around.
are surprising to me. I've forgotten these conversations, and
well,
our
this
show's
one-
great.
This one's about you.
Sometimes these guys, when they become big stars, they start checking off directors of the moment, directors who are
Yeah.
making the prestige films. And I feel like he starts to do that, right? With Peter
Right.
Weir,
Yeah.
this with Alan J. Pakula, with Mike Nichols, there was somebody
Mike
else too
Nichols,
that I
Pakula.
Polanski.
Polanski's the other one. Yeah. So he starts checking off these people who
Yeah,
are highly talked
very
about
smart.
in the moment. That is kind of the phase he's in now, where he's obviously probably looking at the material and what he can do in it, but he's also probably looking to work with directors of a certain track record at this point. It seems to me, if you look at those movies all in a row.
That wasn't the one
good
about
talk.
you. Sorry, you
No,
had
but
a
that's
good.
just genuinely good talk.
It is, yeah, and hopefully it gives
he's
people
correct,
an idea.
yeah.
Oh, come over here and we'll be talking good movie talk.
And the
And
best
you can
guests
get
are the
more
ones
of
that fill in gaps in conversations we'd had. We danced around that idea as well, of like he did too with Weir, and he did, that's yeah.
Well, the thumbnail here is a pic of you, so I thought this was one of the ones about you. You do that one where you talk about the story of Working Girl being like a Jenga, and you can just pull one piece out,
Oh.
and it changes the movie entirely.
Oh.
But it ended up
point,
being
Adam.
not the
Good point.
it
Well,
ended up
you know what? That's correct.
it ended up not being that clip that I thought, but still, it is a clip about you because really, what he's describing is Harrison Ford, Phase 3, right? Or is that
Yeah.
is that 2? 2?
No, it's
2 into 3.
Phase 1 was a nobody. Phase 2 is after Star Wars, and then Phase 3 is the change
into credibility, or if that
running away from his
lack of a better word.
reputation. Running away
Yeah.
from his reputation. You know, which
expanding
every
his set of tools.
which every actor does, mostly poorly. Like, you know, like nobody wants to see you serious, Will Ferrell. I'm sorry. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, I'm sure Everything Must Go has a couple of laughs in it or whatever, but, you know, it's just like.
Stranger Than Fiction is a good one. Everything That Must Go, that's pretty good too. He's not bad.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can be good at that, but nobody wants to see that. You know? Jonah Hill, you know, whatever he's doing now. I don't know. It's like, or he got a bunch of, even in, you know, the serious movies he was in, like Moneyball's like, it's good, but I was dubious. But then even afterwards, I'm like, of course anybody else could have played that. I mean, it's not great because it's him.
Yeah, where were the dick jokes?
Yeah, go be funny. Go be funny. Come on. Not enough people being funny now. Although the comedy of the year, which it'll never get credit for, is in theaters right now, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, yes.
Comedy of the year.
It might. I don't know. I mean, it was number one again, third week in a row at 54 million, which few movies have opened their first weekend to a total of. And another crazy stat, It Ends With Us was number 2 at Blake Lively movie. So we had the first time since 1990, I think, that a couple has been in the 1 and 2 spot, since Bruce Willis with Die Hard 2 and Demi Moore with Ghost. So like those two. Yeah.
Well, you know what put Deadpool and Wolverine over the top, Paul? My trip to the Melody 49 in Union, Ohio.
I love that it still exists.
Isn't it great?
I don't know what it is. I've never seen it before, but I love that it's there.
Oh, there's the cornfields. I mean, look at where you are. I just love that shot right there. Isn't that great?
We should make a Field of Dreams about a movie theater that you have to build a drive-in in the middle of a cornfield.
Oh, Paul, you're onto something there. You're onto something. Ooh, I kind of like that.
Who's been in a scandal and needs to come back show their movie again?
Oh,
the Black Sox. Yeah.
Right. Oh yes, exactly. What movie scandal? What was the movie that's unceremoniously removed from theaters or something for some reason? There might be a historical
by the blacklist or something. Yeah.
Right. It could be a blacklist thing. Yeah, you got to build it in the middle. I love that idea.
La La Land will come back and win Best Picture.
Yeah, like everybody would know what you're referencing, of course, but it gets to be about movies instead of baseball because the same nostalgia. Yeah, if you build it, they will come. Obviously, that's the thing. Spirited.
Never saw it. Again,
no, I didn't see that either.
Unfortunately,
wait, is that a Netflix movie?
Dumped Apple Plus or whatever, dumped on there, and then no real fuss made about it.
Those aren't movies; they're TV
it.
Movies.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Here's where a movie plays, right there.
There it is, right there. That was the other screen. I zoomed in on the on Michael Keaton there at the sunset.
Is that a trailer for where they're throwing back to the original? Oh, okay.
But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. So
audio through the stereo system.
Stereo, which is annoying because
what?
Well, okay, it's okay, but the car goes off every 15 minutes. Like, there's no way to like leave your key cocked anymore because it's all the push button thing. Like, you used to just turn your key halfway and it would keep the battery going or whatever. Well, now the whole car shuts down every 15 minutes. So you have to press the button. This is a rental car. You have to press the button and then the car starts up with the headlights because there's no way of controlling that. It's automatic.
I see.
And then
I have a Prius. So you turn it on, you leave it on, it doesn't make any noise, and you're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You got like a key to kind of, whatever. Well, anyway, this one, and so then the lights would come on, and I quickly turn it back off, turn the radio on, but then you know, and it was, of course, every time a great line was coming up or whatever, like, bleh, like, oh. You can hear, let's fucking go from somebody else's car or whatever, but you're like, come on. So, and then even after you turn the car off, the running lights would stay on for 5 minutes, and you're like, come on, why is everything automatic? Let me turn all this crap off. Yeah. But it was really cool to see it because this is the drive-in where, Paul, if I've ever told you the Slithis story, which I probably told too many times. Have you heard the Slithis story?
Maybe I'll remember as you go.
Yeah, well, Slithis was a movie that Tarantino has shown 4 times in the New Beverly since I've lived here, and I've seen it 3 of those times. Once with Quentin Tarantino sitting right behind me.
Killer Plant, right?
A Swamp Thing. It's more of a Swamp Thing, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. But there's a long story. If you go to the, and I highly suggest this podcast in general, the Video Archives podcast with Quentin Tarantino, Roger Avery, and Gala Avery. They cover Slithis, and they cover it in a great detail because I guess it was shot in Manhattan Beach. Where's the turtle races? The turtle races are in the movie.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't? Okay, that's like a beach town where there's turtle races, and the turtle races are documented.
I've been to Huntington Beach for the corgi races. Oh wait, no, that's out of
Venice.
Santa Anita. Corgi Beach Day is in, but I don't know about the turtles.
It's Venice. So this whole movie is shot in Venice. It's a monster movie about a swamp creature shot in Venice. So it's living in the canals of Venice, which is a unique twist on the Swamp Thing or on the Creature in the Black Lagoon. Creature from the Venice canals, basically. And so when I was in 1979, I'm going to say, we were going to the drive-in that night. I lived in Vandalia, which is very, very close to this. And they had the newspaper laid out on the kitchen counter, and there was King Kong. And they said, we're going to King Kong tonight. It's like, yes, I knew King Kong from Monster magazines, but I'd never seen the original, but I knew there was a new one. And then I looked next to it, and there was a swamp creature with a woman in his arms, the classic, monster sort of thing. And I was like, I want to go see that. And I'm like, yeah, they're playing that too. And I looked, and I noted the time, and my parents are very late to things. And of course, in this case, why would they get there early to see Slithis? They're going to see King Kong. They're like, we're rolling in the middle of this stupid movie before it. But I was like, swamp creature, my favorite thing. Like, we're late. We're late. They're like, we're not late. We're like, no, for Slithis, we're late. And they're like, please. We'll see some Slithis, whatever. So we get there, we're pulling in as Slithis is ending. And if you've ever seen the ending of Slithis, it's where all the great monster stuff is. There's not much throughout the entire movie. It's 90 minutes of whatnot, and then 10 great minutes of, they kind of do like a Jaws thing, where they're on like this houseboat type thing and fishing for the Slithis. Anyway, and he comes on the boat and kills them, all sorts of that. So that's what I come into. I'm like, and there's Swamp Creature, and he's killing all the guys, and there's all this sort of stuff. I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't see Slithis, but I did see the very end of Slithis. And then King Kong comes on. It's a great time sitting there watching King Kong. Then we're about to leave, and the Melody 49 back then would just show each movie twice because they didn't care. They'd run their movies till like 4 or 5 in the morning. One time we were there, and they had clearly had last week's prints. So after the 2 movies were shown, they just showed last week's movies. It was like April Fool's Day and something else, and The Hitcher. And we were there till like 4 in the morning or something. But as we're leaving, they start Slithis again. And now it's got to be like 11:30 or something, well past my bedtime or whatever. I'm like, they're starting Slithis again. And there's the title and everything. And they're packing up the car. I'm like, we can't leave. Slithis is starting. And they're like, we got to go.
Now, this is when you just had the little hook thing on the side of the car, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was radio then, I think.
Oh, it was radio then?
I feel, no, it wasn't. Because I remember other times where we'd leave and I'd be able to listen to the movie for a little while till you got down to the highway and you're like, oh, there it goes. No, this was before this. So I'm just watching silently, pulling out of this, pulling out past this sign, watching out the back of the 1978 Chevrolet Monza, the little tiny window, watching as Slithis is fading away. And I'm watching every last bit as till we curve around onto the highway. I'm like, there's a little more. And to this day, when I saw it, and also, most obscure movie in the history of mankind. Paul, before the internet, there's no way of finding out what Slithis was or what, I remember nobody believed me that there was a Star Wars holiday special because there's no internet. You couldn't prove it. It only aired once. So I remember the Hollis brothers, the great Hollis brothers, 2 movie critics we should have on sometime from my hometown, the other 2 movie geeks. And they had this thing, the Holy Grail VHS. And they're like, what's your Holy Grail VHS? Because they'd found theirs. They'd found a couple like Luther the Geek and there was some other Outlaw, Bobby Joe, which had Linda Carter in it, or Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, whatever. And they're like, what's your Holy Grail movie? We're finding our Holy Grails. And I go, Slithis. And they're like, the hell's that? They look it up in their video fetch guide or whatever. And then a couple weeks later, they come into my video store and they go, got something for you. And because they had this network of stores they go to find all the movies that they wanted. And then they pull around their back, here's Slithis. And I'm like, oh my God, it actually exists. And so I finally got to watch it. But then when I moved here, Quentin Tarantino was showing it as a part of the Death Proof month-long exploitation fest. And I was like, somebody else knows about this besides me and the Hollis brothers, you know? And sure enough, sat in front of Quentin Tarantino, and I was like, boy, this is just a sign. I moved to LA, hanging out with Quentin, watching a movie nobody ever fucking heard of in a packed theater, and it's a very funny bad movie. Like, it's a, you know, there's bad movies, and then there's a really rewarding bad movies that are really great in how over the top they are. Probably intentional, but, you know, who knows? But, yeah, so anyway, that's my... So anyway, this is the long story short. This is the movie theater where I saw Slithis. I guess I haven't told you that story, but yeah.
No. I might be thinking of Day of the Triffids, Killer Plants. Is that...
Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of them.
Killer Plants? Yeah. Not, because Slithis is clearly a plant person.
Yes,
Swamp
he was.
creature.
The scientific formula is a certain amount of radioactivity goes into the mulch at the bottom of the muck at the bottom of the thing, and when it combines with this thing, it becomes a material called slithis. It turns out slithis itself has become, you know, sentient. So the goo, the slithis goo.
Yeah, I remember that X-Files episode where a suburb was so concerned about how pristine their neighborhood looked that they repressed so much trash that underground it became a trash monster and came up and wreaked havoc on them. Sounds like a similar thing. Yeah. Some of those monster chasing plots that never fit into the grand storyline of X-Files were some of the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
My favorite being a guy who would take your photo. What's that?
Very Twilight Zone.
Very much so. Yeah. A guy who would take your photo for your driver's license. But when the photo came out, it was a picture of you like spiraling into a dark circle of nothingness. But if that happened to you, then you were the next one that he was going to kidnap, put in his trailer, and lobotomize. Just how that story went. Pruitt Taylor Vince played the creepy guy though. So that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, I loved that show. So yeah, Slithis sounds very similar. Bunch of gunk in the bottom of the thing gets together and becomes a creature.
Yeah, let me show you something cool, Slithis related to this right over there. But I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think
after this intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. So hurry, hurry, hurry! Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies. Everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now.
Okay. So
I didn't, but go ahead.
But so I then went to go see Slithis again. He programs it every 2 or 3 years now. I think it'll pop up. And the last time, it was like a really busy week, really busy day, and I knew at the end of that week I got to go see Slithis. I was very excited for that, and I go, and so I just kind of have this like, and I'm taking photos of the marquee and taking photos of and I just really, it's just become an event of just like, it's the ultimate vindication of just again the time, Paul, that you and I lived through, where you just couldn't see movies again, and you couldn't, some things, you know, everything's available now in some form, but you had to search, you had to hunt, you had to earn your star, really, as a movie geek, you know, back in the day. And
yeah, they really were a more appreciated moment.
Yeah, that's what I always
watch
say.
A movie. Yeah,
I often comment on Twitter when someone pisses on how a movie was made or whatever. They see the green screen or they see the volume or whatever, and it's like, they didn't have to tell you how it was made. Back in the day, we had to search for that stuff. There were 5 books when I was a kid about how movies were made: The Godfather, Jaws, Star Wars, and Close Encounters, and Superman. You know, that was it. That was it. You know, if you wanted to find out how a movie was made, good luck. But now it's all put out there, and I really think they should stop putting it out there as a part of the advertising. It's not working. Don't worry, we will figure it out. We'll find out how that movie was made if we want to. You should save it for the people that really want to learn how The Mandalorian was shot. Not, here's a little behind the scenes of The Mandalorian that's in your regular feed. See, it's a thing called The Volume. Now you can bitch about that. I mean, it was like for the last 10 years, Paul. And also, nobody knew what a blue screen was. As soon as it became green, that's when they started telling people how that was done. So now everyone could complain about green screen. And then they go, okay, we've heard your complaints for 15 years about green screen. Here's the volume. Boo that too. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? So they just should stop. We should stop telling people how movies are made. I don't think it helps.
See, then years later you
They
find
shove
out
it up their ass.
Then years later you can find out on your own that a small
cool.
die-cast Star Wars TIE fighter was used as an eyeball in a Skeksis costume for the Dark Crystal.
Wow. That's
I guess I believe it. I mean,
wonderful. Because I had that, and you saw that in the store, right? Did you ever have that?
the die-cast
The little
ones?
die-cast ones? I had a
don't think so,
die-cast
no.
Millennium Falcon I still have to this day.
No,
It was
I
one
only
of my
had
favorite
the
toys.
full-size ones that you could put the figures inside.
Yeah, I had that one too. I was spoiled. I had 6
But if this came out when the Dark Crystal came out today, people would be like, "Oh, you're just using stupid toys to fuck me." And whatever.
Yeah, remember the ladies' razor that was the communicator in Star Wars? And I'm like
right.
that like a oval razor they released for like ladies to shave their legs or whatever, and that's they just took the top off of it and spray painted it silver.
Right.
Yeah, ice cream maker, right? The Wilro Hood ice cream maker, and now that's just a whole thing. But that's so in the tradition of of sci-fi movies, of like, yeah, of course you'd do that. That's what George Lucas is emulating. He loves that. So the last time I went to slit this, I'm just in the glow and I'm excited and everything like that. And this guy's walking around with a Polaroid camera before I had a Polaroid camera. This is the first Polaroid I'd seen in years. And he's taking photos of stuff. And I'm like, this is the most interesting person I've ever seen, because he's just going around taking Polaroids of the Slithis posters. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool that you're, it's like, are you excited to see it or something like that? And he goes, would you like a photo of you with the Slithis poster? I'm like, you bet your fucking ass I would. Look at that. That is one of the best things anyone's ever given me.
Wait a minute, that's Polaroid, because it actually looks pretty good.
Well, yeah. Well, part of me wishes I had his contact info because I could say, yeah, what film did you use? Because that actually came out.
You get that a little bit closer. Let's see what we got there. Oh, hang on. We'll just do this.
Let me do the autofocus here. Hold on. Let me see if I can hit the focus. Hold on. Settings, focus. Where's my settings? Hold on. I got it coming up here. Okay, here we go. Focus, auto. Let's try auto. Let's see if that. Oh, there we go. Aha. Cool, right? And in the special, paper, he's got the circular, one, as opposed to the square. But I was just like, I feel like you put stuff out in the universe, creating our own reality, as I believe we do, and. There's my little angel guy going, would you like to commemorate this moment? I'm like,
I am not piecing much together there. I thought you were actually holding a CD, with the circle cut out in the paper case.
Yeah.
And then I saw, and underneath was the photo of you that you had maybe put it on a CD.
No,
but that's the photo itself. It's circular.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I see what that would look like, because you can't get perspective of how big it is. It looks like it's the size of a CD. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually was the paper he used. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So they do ones with borders that are.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
No, they have a couple fun little alt things. Like I've shot black and white and black border ones as well. And when all the Schadenfreude folks came into town, I shot some with all color. They're square, but they are all different colors. Lots of fun.
And outside of the issues with the car, Deadpool and Wolverine, great again, third time.
Great, even in a drive-in. Yeah, I mean, you're looking through a windshield, which has got a little bit of a tint on it or whatever. I just had a rental car. I didn't bring a lawn chair or anything. So you're getting it's a little darker than it should be. Obviously, the projection is not that great. It's a drive-in. I mean, but it's all about the atmosphere. But yeah, look pretty good.
Yeah, I got to get back to the one that got me through the pandemic closed. The Mission Tiki.
Oh, that sucks. That was such a great drive-in.
Paramount's still there. That's the one where Cliff Booth lived in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, if you remember. So that's still there.
Modeled after the Van Nuys drive-in, which is no longer there.
They put a sign out front of it, called it Van Nuys in the movie, but it was really the Paramount one.
Oh, okay.
So in Paramount, California. Yeah, not to do with the studios, but down in Paramount, California. But I've not been there since the lock. I mean, this is partially my fault. I haven't been to Mission Tiki or Paramount since the lockdown, so I got to get out to a drive-in and just have some fun.
Hey, man. That's a perfect party to get a bunch of schmo folks involved. Just
True.
say, hey, we're going to the drive-in. You want to come? that'd be a fun crew to park a couple cars around and pull some lawn chairs out and shoot the shit beforehand,
And worth saying again, if you haven't got enough Deadpool talk in your life, go check out the Countdown to 3 Deadpool podcast. We're going to put out our 3rd episode soon, which will cover Deadpool and Wolverine. But you can go and listen to episodes about Deadpool and Deadpool 2 there. And the making of Deadpool 2016 original is crazy. So that's half that episode is just the making of stories about getting it to the goddamn screen already.
Even 2? Even after the success of the
No,
first one?
1.
Oh, the
Well,
first one. Yeah.
I think I told you by 2 they were paying for the writers to be on set and work with Ryan Reynolds, and so there was a lot more. By this one, that all the stops were pulled out because it got under Feige's rule, and he knew just what to do.
He clearly knows just what to do. Talk about a tightrope for the highest chance of failure possible. Like, if you do Deadpool and Wolverine wrong, if you pull him out of the mothballs from Logan and you dare do this sort of thing, of course, they don't give a shit. They're like, 20th Century Fox fucked up our characters, so we'll do it. I mean, you could tell. They're just like, we'll take Fantastic Four. Thank you. Good job. Good effort. Like, they just clearly are like, everybody else screwed our characters up big time. We're going to redeem that. So,
well, Marvel had the big panel where they got back to old school paneling at Comic-Con, but at D23 we did get our glimpse of Red Hulk.
Oh my God! Look at that with the Harrison Ford face.
And you know what's cool about it? This shot. There's a video out there you can watch if you want. They're mostly people shooting the screen, and I don't know how happy Disney might be with that.
So it looks like shit. Not, it looks like somebody shot it on screen.
But this Red Hulk emerges from behind the President of the United States podium.
Oh,
which is really cool.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So that means he's going to get angry in the middle of a press conference and turn into the Hulk. Could you imagine if the President of the United States, when the press wouldn't leave Biden alone, towing the line of like, yeah, but aren't you stupid? But wait, aren't you old and stupid? Like, remember those press conferences right before you quit? You're like, guys, geez. They're just so afraid of the liberal media thing that they're like, aren't you a dick? Whatever.
And then,
right. It's so vindicating. I'm like, listen, like the president just losing it and turning into the Hulk. That's the best bit ever. And that's going to be the first 20 minutes. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Oh, Marvel knows how to make movies, don't they?
They do. Yeah, I don't think there's any real video about that. Most of the videos that were out there were on social media. So
yeah,
we're going to try and pull something now to show it. But anyway, just take a look. That's enough. There he is.
Oh, that's enough.
He ain't done.
That's enough. Hey, imagine that, but projected good. And, and with fully being able to see, oh my God, that's gonna be such a moment. And the other thing about complaining about CGI is like, you're posting the photo of nobody's complaining about this as far as I know. Oh, I mean, I'm sure they are.
I'm sure somebody is.
Because the internet exists to answer the question, does anybody think, insert opinion? Yeah, of course somebody thinks that. Like, what?
And they'll be loud about it.
This means it's a popular opinion. Yeah, exactly. Improv rules. Loudest one wins, right? Loudest one gets their way. By the way, I did want to show you this. Oh, before we get off of Deadpool and Wolverine again. This is Steve Schmidt, and there's Deirdre, who was on our James Bond show with Steve. But and so I took them to Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought this was quite.
Well, that's why I saw you, right?
Yep.
Was that the morning they had the Kevin Feige star ceremony? Because one of my tours I gave, there was a whole hubbub going on, and traffic was a bitch. But it's actually I caught it at the end of the ceremony. He now has a star over close-ish to the El Capitan Theater. More.
Feige got a star.
Yeah.
Like, well, we were here this day just for photos, which was cool because there's no stanchions or anything. It's a perfect photo. The day after when we saw you was the day we actually saw the movie. And the photos from that are just so junked up with people and stanchions and stuff. So I'm so happy we went and got this photo.
It's become so Venice Beachy down there. I wish the Chamber of Commerce would step in and say, "Can half of you assholes just leave?"
Yeah, we give you guys a street and call it a farmer's market, a weirdos market. Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. But elsewhere in the world,
and that's why we're gonna auction off this bet at the Diplomat Party House. That's just my Ed Boss voice.
commenting earlier on something Jeremy said, Presumed Innocent should have Jake Gyllenhaal on the show. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Sure.
But yeah, we got Brendan Meyer. that's who we can get. We know Brendan Meyer.
That was our thoughts.
But it's worth pointing out that it was a hit, this Presumed Innocent TV show, and there will be a second season. Okay, like, are they going to go? Now, from what I understand, Scott Turow wrote another book. I just don't know if it had anything to do with Rusty Sabich and any of his crazy adventures from Presumed Innocent. But I'm sure you wrap up the story of Presumed Innocent in the first season, right, from the book. I didn't watch it, clearly, as you can tell from my conversation here. But, now there's going to be...
after we run out of Harrison Ford movies, I think we then immediately spin into Presumed Innocent TV show, the Mosquito Coast TV show.
Got Working Girl TV show.
Working Girl. Oh, the pilot. Yeah, we'll have Bibiani back on for that. Oh, that's a great call.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll look forward to doing that in 2030.
Wow, okay, so they're doing a season 2. So after he is because I assume they end the first season of this with the ending of the movie, which we won't spoil for anybody.
I believe so, but there's another book called The Burden of Proof that he wrote. Let me see if it's okay. This now it's all coming back to me. The Burden of Proof was about the further adventures of Raul Julia's lawyer.
Oh, okay.
So who
plays Raul Julia in this show? Anybody?
Wait, Raul Julia played Sandy.
I mean,
Stern.
in this Presumed Innocent.
Oh, in this one, Peter Sarsgaard played Raul Julia.
I'll take
in
it.
This one.
Raul Julia for the block.
Yeah. I got nothing.
You imagine if Hollywood Squares with Raul Julia style gravitas actors, William Hurt for the block. And then they try and do the joke like you would or whatever, but of course it's William Hurt doing it,
Right.
Hollywood Squares with the wrong premise. Raul Julia for the block. We have fun.
Vanessa Redgrave for the
exactly.
The show starts in 10 minutes.
I've seen that many times, and I got to tell you, a lot of people can juggle 2 popcorn. Popcorn's juggling 2.
Yeah.
Juggle 3, 4, 5.
It's a lot of popcorn.
Yeah.
2? Is that just 2? All right. What happened to this music, though, by the way? Does anybody make this music anymore as a genre?
No.
The show starts in 9 minutes.
Well, what are those ice cream sandwiches? Is that gum?
Gum and coal. Gum and what are those? Oh, they've got to be candy bars. They look like little mounds.
We should get the gum on the show.
Get the gum on the show to talk
about. I think we could get.
What's the perfect theme to bring gum on the show to talk about Harrison Ford? By the way, I did suggest a topic earlier, Paul, that of course the Olympics have just concluded. With, I think if we had an actor that we would do a podcast for about besides Harrison Ford, Tom Cruise might be a valid option. But Tom Cruise. I mean, this guy
totally cruising it up.
It brings up the question: who is the greatest movie star of all time? Now that suggests you got to bring up a lot of criteria, right? You got to become the number of classics, the number of sort of defining of their era. So you got your John Waynes, you got your Cary Grants, this sort of thing. And of course, we would say Harrison Ford. But the stiff competition, I think Harrison Ford is the greatest movie star of all time, but might be Tom Cruise, man. Because
I would even
parachuting into the Olympics and then and then he rides out of this thing on a motorcycle right past the Arc de Triomphe, which is literally a sequence, one of the best sequences in a Mission Impossible in any Tom Cruise movie, and it just drives it out on the guy's like Evel Knievel and Cary Grant and
Well, I think we know why Tom Cruise is probably the biggest movie star ever.
Yeah.
He's so into it. Ford is like the reluctant superhero.
Right, he's an actor.
Megawatt star. Yeah.
He's never been a producer. Tom Cruise has been a producer.
Yeah.
That's true.
But never a director. I think Cruise, it might be a good choice, I think, in the end. You can't hang everything on Cruise like you can some people who, like Costner, or who slipped into directing.
Yeah. But you know what? You could take the reverse angle on that and say, can you not communicate to people, Costner? Do you really have to pick up can you really not tell Kevin Reynolds what to do? You have to go, get the hell out of here.
But his interview on Howard Stern pretty much said that he was running the bodyguard pretty much. Like he was like pushing for Whitney. They didn't want her. They were like, nope, you got to get her.
Like, might as well direct.
Yeah, he was telling everybody what else to do in that movie.
But I just say that by way of a compliment to Tom Cruise of like, no, he works with directors, especially. I love the relationship with Chris McQuarrie. Huge Chris McQuarrie fan from way back. I know you were as well. I was lucky enough to have lunch with him once as a part of. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. Yeah, there was a screenwriting scholarship. It was called Cinestory, I believe. Do you know that name? And it would come to Chicago once a year.
Maybe.
And I was taking classes in a sketch class with Eric Spitznagel, who we should also have on the show.
Yeah.
He really cracks me up on social media. He's just the funniest dude. So our class got two people in our class got a scholarship to go do the 3-day seminar on screenwriting. Stanley Tucci was there. He did a staged reading of The Imposters. Is that the art heist one? Yeah, did a staged reading of that with a few people. And you got to pick from a list of who you wanted to talk to for a lunch thing. You would get like 30. It's 30 minutes before lunch or an hour before lunch. Everybody would meet and then go to lunch, would meet one of the screenwriters that was there as a guest. And amongst them was Danny Rubin from Groundhog Day.
He never wrote anything else.
Right. Crazy,
or
right?
Never got anything else produced.
Could be. Yeah. He might've done a lot of Punch Up or something like that. But this is Chris McQuarrie in his slightly wilderness phase, I guess, because what year was the Benicio del Toro
The Way of the Gun?
Yeah, what year was that? 97?
Yeah, it was before or after Usual Suspects? I can't remember.
It was after.
Okay.
Because he used his clout to direct his first movie, which was write and direct his first movie.
So it's probably like 99 or something.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, that wasn't well received, so I think he was. But you know what? He was already writing, because remember there were a lot of motion pictures about what's the one that the Conqueror, not Hannibal, not
Alexander.
So he was one of the first people to write this giant 3-hour long Alexander or whatever, and he was so pissed because Oliver Stone took the steam out of it. As soon as Oliver Stone was interested in the story, they weren't interested in Chris McQuarrie's. But I remember,
was he working with Baz Luhrmann? Because Luhrmann had one in development too with DiCaprio. That was a long gestating project.
Yeah, this is all.
Or is that also not him?
No, that's Baz Luhrmann was also going to do one.
Yeah, but no, that's also not McQuarrie. So McQuarrie had a third
that I don't know, because I guess he would have wanted directed at the time, but then because The Way of the Gun wasn't received so well, it might have went to a director, so that could be his script. Actually, I don't know, but I don't know but Oliver Stone wrote his. Anyway, the point is, I remember it's around that time that his script got rejected because I walked past him talking to all the other screenwriters there and giving them his pitch on it, of the opening scene. That was the coolest thing to see. He's like, and then you see the tracks of the horses or whatever, elephants, or I can't remember what the deal is or whatever. It's like, and then you pull back. And I remember walking past and he's doing this with all these like other screenwriters all going, like leaning forward because he's got them in his hands. But you got to pick who you wanted to have your lunch with, but you had to go 1, 2, 3. So if you didn't get your first choice, you get your second choice or whatever. And I wrote Chris McQuarrie in all 3 because I was like, I am literally the most interested in talking to Chris McQuarrie and not interested in anybody else comparatively. And so I did. I got Chris McQuarrie, and he was so interested in the conversation, he stayed past the beginning of lunch. So I thought that was a good compliment. and we were talking about superhero scripts, because he'd written a superhero script, and that's what I brought to the thing too, is one of my early superhero scripts. I'm sure you remember me talking about back then, but so I brought him a superhero script, and we just talked about superheroes, and he'd written a superhero script, and I remember it had the coolest idea in it, which is because it was like a button-up guy or whatever who decided to fight crime at night, and it went through all the foibles of, like, it's not as easy as you think. Like, so you're like, I'm going to armor my car. Oh, my car's too heavy to drive. It's like, oh, so he had all these sort of real world of, like, it's real hard to be a superhero. And so you really have to want it to get past all that to actually go fight crime. But I remember one of the coolest ideas he told me, and again, he goes into his pitch mode or whatever. So I feel like I learned a little bit about pitching from Corey, seeing him, do his various pitches there. But, that the guy almost gets shot, and that hadn't occurred to him in some way or whatever at this point or whatever, but it shot him in his tie he had around his neck. It shot through it, so when he took off the tie, it had the 2 eye holes, and that's what he puts on the 2 eye holes, and then that's the first night he successfully fights crime. He has the mask, and he's like, okay, I'm going to keep that as a thing, the mask. So anyway, I hung out with Chris McQuarrie. Don't know how he got there, but I love his relationship, because he went into this huge wilderness era, and who brings him out of it but Tom Cruise. And now, I mean, Dead Reckoning Part 1, that is the most Chris McQuarrie any movie has been since Way of the Gun. Like, I was like, when he goes into that sort of really doesn't care about the MacGuffin, it's all about how the people are talking, and like all the monologues in that movie of, like, he isn't just Ethan Hunt isn't just something. He's a force of nature. And everybody has a monologue like that in that movie. And I'm sure it's over the top for some people, but as a Corey fan, I'm like, this is he just gets to do whatever he wants finally again,
Hey, I hear
Tom Cruise going like, give it to me, I'll do it.
I hear they're taking the Part 1 out of it, like now.
That's
it's
good.
Just Dead Reckoning, and then they'll just call the next one something else. But I do appreciate knowing that I'm not going to see some conclusion. Like, it's the only way they can do it.
Yeah, because did Horizon, was that a Part 1?
It was, but we'll see Part 2
Part
because
1?
done. Yeah.
But I mean,
as
soon as that movie just awkwardly ends and goes to a trailer, it doesn't even tell you next time on. It just goes suddenly. It's just where, like, oh, this, where's all this?
That is a little bizarre.
Yeah.
But at least we knew going in it's not done, and we will see the end of it. And we'll see the end of Dead Reckoning too.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom Cruise.
Obviously. And I'm Chris McQuarrie.
Well, obviously. And we're talking to you from the set of Top Gun Maverick.
We're very proud to present Mission Impossible Fallout, and we want you to enjoy it to the fullest possible effect, just as you would in a theater.
To that end, we'd like a moment of your time to talk to you about video interpolation.
Video interpolation, or motion smoothing, is a digital effect on most high-definition televisions and is intended to reduce motion blur in sporting events and other high-definition programming.
The unfortunate side effect is that it makes most movies look like they were shot on
Who cares? Says everybody but you and I, Paul. But that's why I love these two guys.
This is sometimes referred to as the soap opera effect.
Without a side-by-side comparison, many people can't quite put their finger on why the movie they're watching looks strange.
I mean, but honestly, when I was growing up, I knew that, like, Cheers was a classy show just because it kind of looked like film.
Turning it off requires navigating a set of
Full
menus
House was
with
kind of just
interpolation
hacky
often
because it
referred
looked
to
like
by
a
another brand.
soap opera effect.
If you own a modern high-definition television, there's a good chance you're not watching movies the way the filmmakers
Con
intended.
Air at a bar that had the interpolation on
way
up, and it was
Filmmakers
insane.
are working with
I was like,
manufacturers
is
to
this a
change the
Con
way
Air
video
TV show?
interpolation is activated on your television.
Can I step in and say
giving
something
you
you want
easier
to help,
access
right?
and greater
You wanna...
choice over when to use this feature.
Meanwhile, a quick internet search should provide you with step-by-step instructions on how to quickly disable the feature so that you can enjoy the movie you're about to see exactly as the filmmakers intended.
On behalf of everyone who works so hard to bring you the very best motion picture experience, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy.
Oh, the best. Oh,
and
so fun.
McQuarrie had a hand in that script and for Maverick, right? God, that's a great movie.
Yeah. I think he was supposed to direct it originally, and then that was before.
Kaczynski did a great job. The guy from Oblivion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another guy he's worked with again. So obviously those guys communicate pretty well too.
Yep.
Tom Cruise seems like the master communicator too. It's so like great. That he's just he's a
and that
he
jump
basically
from the
is directing.
And that jump from the top of the Olympics, of course, he's not just jumping from there, but the camera swings over him and he looks up and he's like following the camera along. He just leaps off, and and then the flag arrives in the States, and it goes to Michael Johnson and the person on a bike and somebody on a skateboard. It gets to the beach,
Total
and
Rocky
they got the
Fields.
Chili Peppers playing, and Billie Eilish and Snoop and Dre. I mean, it was like, we're gonna have fun. When the Olympics get here, it's gonna be fucking fun. It's gonna be so much. You're gonna have so much fucking fun. It's gonna take plastic surgery to wipe smiles off your face. To quote Vacation.
There we go.
But back to Harrison Ford related nonsense. I think the Presumed Innocent was the last thing I had. Although, I come across things online, I share them here. That's fun.
Oh,
whatever it is.
Oh, that's so cute. Yes, that I love this, Paul, because I have a collection too. I'll have to pop them in the system just so we can throw them time. When I'm so shocked that there's a Harrison Ford photo that I haven't seen, or a behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi I haven't seen. So I just love that when they pop up. And I just found one recently, but I won't look for it right now. But yeah. Oh, look at that. Now I wonder what this was. What era are we looking at? This is like Temple of Doom-ish, I think, looking based on the
Raiders press tour. I mean, he doesn't look as jacked as Doom.
Oh, he's a little more Raiders. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, yeah. Spielberg looks like the Spielberg you'd see down with the models and the monocle, right?
Now, here's a photo I took on my bike just coming back on Clark Ave. So at Clark and Buena Vista, there's a church. And that was going on out front. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh!
This week's lesson, don't get cocky, kid.
Now, see, I love that. A movie reference in, a movie reference. The church knows. The church knows. Everybody there works in the movies.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Don't get cocky, kid.
Another this is it's Star Wars universe related. But I know you love toys, Adam.
I do love toys.
There you go.
Oh, Nick the Lounge Singer. Oh, that's fantastic.
Nothing but Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. I was like, oh, what an interesting character. Of course, the Star Wars theme. Yes, Nick the Lounge Singer. Oh, that's so good. I love that.
Sorry, get up.
It looks like Dabney Coleman on the figure, though. Look at the figure. Is that a Dabney Coleman figure they modded?
My little cleese going on maybe there too. Yeah, this is stuff going on.
By the way, on my way out of town, I did see I saw Cloak and Dagger for the first time ever.
Oh right, yeah,
at the New Beverly. I think it was before my last trip. It was one of those things of like, I could pack and go through all the stress, but it'd be nice to relax and watch Cloak and Dagger before I do for the first time. Man, that is a perfect. What is that? 83 movie? The year after ET, pretty much, right?
I remain one who has not seen it. So
no, I hadn't either. Oh my god, it's just so perfect. It's just like when I see a movie like that, I weep partially because I'm like, oh, if I was a kid, I would have just couldn't have gotten enough of Cloak and Dagger at that time. Like, yeah, it's the kid from ET and Dabney Coleman, and it's about. Oh, here's the great thing about that movie. Well, okay, well, I'm not going to spoil anything. But you might have been spoiled already. There's some Russians, but it
was the 80s. Yeah, there's Russians.
The great thing about it is, I don't know if you know the premise that Dabney Coleman plays both his father and his imaginary friend. So when he plays games with his friends, he envisions the adventure as his dad being very heroic, which is great, because his dad's a real dad when he comes out of the fantasy, but eventually his dad does become the same hero that he envisions, the character as. But the character will just show up at any time, in his full military, cigar chomping, like, Nick Fury style is
Ray and shit.
Yeah, the character. And so that's great for Dabney Coleman to play two roles like that too. But the great thing about it is since he's got the imaginary friend, you kind of don't know. I wonder if they actually ever fully deliver whether the mystery that he's involved in is also imaginary. Certainly at points you can question it. But the great thing about it being imaginary is, and I always loved knowing that the movie was that what the Russians wanted was an Atari cartridge, because when you had an Atari cartridge as a kid, you're like, ooh, this is high tech. This is a computer, thing. That the idea that a Atari cartridge, so everything that follows from that, Paul, is something a kid would make an adventure out of. So there's a bomb that's set off by the car garage door opener and all the tech and stuff. You're like, it's totally the things that you would pretend were adventure things when you were a kid anyway to make an
that's
adventure.
Cool.
Yeah. And
that's very thought out. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh my God, it's totally the adventure you'd have in your imagination of like, the Atari cartridge that the Russians want. Well, I'll set off the bomb with this clicker thing, which is just the garage door opener. That was pretty special of that movie to do. I thought that was really fun. But
I should have played this right after the Cruise and Macquarie video, but
yeah, right.
I like that.
I know. Oh, this 9x16 shit. Oh my God. Oh, it's the devil's format. It's not. That's the size of a phone. This is a movie.
Yeah.
By the way, don't you love Paul? Don't you love Paul? That
I love
this
Paul.
This is Paul's great. Paul is good. Paul is great. Satan is your pal. But but this is also the shape of TVs now, which is so funny because when movies first came on TV, they were not letterboxed. They were center cropped and panned and scanned. And the dominant medium at the time that movies had been fighting against for 30 or 40 years, was the square format. And now, who won that argument? TV screens are now movie sized. I love it. We won.
And then there's vertical in there, screwing everything up.
Give me a break. Oh,
here's some non-Harrison Ford. I got one more Harrison Ford.
And it's only been codified because people are doing it wrong. All you got to do is that. Now you're shooting right. But everybody's like, no, I'm going to shoot wrong. No. And now we're like, okay, that's the new format. No, it's not.
They don't know. They know they've watched more videos on TikTok than they've watched movies. Unfortunately.
Some people.
Yeah. I can see the resemblance now between you and that monkey. Happy birthday, Marion. I don't know where this is from or what, but or if Karen Allen actually wrote that, but I found it online. Thought it was fun. Found this online. Thought it was fun. It appears that your hippo is not as famished as you claimed, Mr. Bond.
That is brilliant. I saw that too. That is so brilliant.
I like this too. Not wrong. A different take on the Pinocchio
also the
remake.
Tagline for a zombie version of Pinocchio. Yes.
I like this. Takes a second, but
gotcha. Very good. Very good. Very good. Danny, how'd you like to mow my lawn? Very good. Why, I've sentenced kids younger than you to the gas chamber. Didn't want to do it. Felt I owed it to them.
And this is dumb. Old
That's very dumb.
Buster Keaton, Lon Chaney, Mad Max and the Fury Road. There's something, sort of steampunk about those Mad Max movies.
I love any alt version like that, but the AI people have been doing online superhero movies with what they would look like in the 70s.
Yeah, I've seen Iron Man as Gregory Peck or something.
Yeah, 60s, 50s, 40s. Well, Harrison Ford's in one of them, so I need to pull it for one of it because it's probably a good discussion to get into, not an hour and 12 minutes into the show, but I'll pull the clips too because they're not that well done. I mean, they're not trying to really be a movie. They're just trying to be more conceptual art, and people, if the person didn't say, doesn't it look just like a movie? Isn't it great? Then they're not really making that point. They're like, oh, here's what it would look like if they made superhero movies in the 1950s or whatever. But I'll pull one of those because Travolta's Superman was really great for a 70s one.
I remember that.
There's some inspired ideas in it. I forget who Harrison Ford plays anyway, so I'll bring this up for a future show. But what I was going to say was that Harrison Ford was in one of those, and never mind.
I didn't know the truth was mine.
Way to keep him excited, Paul.
I never meant for you to feel this way. Drive! I never meant for you to feel this way.
She has a really good scream.
That's a vintage Ford response. That
I know.
she knew one word in English, so she screamed it. Not so bad.
Oh, I'll bring this up for our AI. We'll show off the Harrison Ford one and a couple others, but I just want to say I just did a James Dean montage for an upcoming concert.
Oh.
And so I got to watch all of James Dean's movies.
I still have not.
Well, you can get it done in a day. That's the tragic thing about him.
Just 3, but
yeah, just 3.
That's why I'm kind of ashamed. I've seen Rebel Without a Cause, but I think that's it. I don't think I saw the other ones.
Yeah, but Giant is a cool one. It's slower. It's got a whole different thing, but he's really fun to watch in it. I think, even though Rebel Without a Cause is the jam, But we should watch that sometime. That's a good one. We should do the after this. We should just take a break and do the James Dean Fiesta, and then go right back to Harrison Ford. Like just 3 movies. We're gonna change to a new actor, James Dean. The James Dean Fiesta.
I can't remember what sort of space there was between Frantic and Working Girl, but may not be able to do the 3 James Dean movies that quickly based on our history. So we'll see.
Take some time. But so I'll have to show you. In fact, I think, did I just download it? Nah, of course not. I don't know where it went. But the movie Giant, I could not unsee this, and I'll show you a better photo than I found on the fly here. But that I love the idea of superhero. I mean, I wish there had been superhero movies every year the way Marvel does it right now. Could you imagine there were 3 superhero movies in the 50s, what they would have been? Like if this has just always been a thing, like Westerns were, if this were always a thing, But I was looking at the cast of Giant, and it's Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor, and Jimmy Olsen, and they were all in the same frame together. And there's one particular
Jimmy
shot.
Olsen?
Sorry, James Dean. Well, this is the spoiler. As I look at them and I go, oh my God, it is the absolutely perfect 1955 Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, wow.
Like I was just like, and now I watch that. I'm like, because Rock Hudson is Superman, big, broad, brawny, just totally Clark Kent, totally Superman, and Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, probably maybe no better Lois Lane possible in the history of Hollywood. So. But I'll find a good photo of them and bring that up in our little AI stuff, because it's just always my dream of like, oh man, what if we had superhero movies every year? Like you'd had good, you'd had bad, but just like well, not now, I don't think, but I guess you include Madam Web, but
But why would you?
Yeah. Pretty good, but why would you? I think that just proves. That Marvel is just so much better at it. Of course, that's all Marvel's ever proved is nobody knew how to make these before. That's what a younger generation forgets, is that no, it's on record. Nobody knew how to make these. And now
all true.
Now they're doing Deadpool.
That's what makes some of the cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine super funny.
Super good. By the way, I keep catching new lines. My new favorite line, which is a real quick one that goes past, is and I love when he goes to the TVA and they give him his new outfit and they get to do a suit up montage. I mean, like that's, it's the real deal. You always love a suit up montage, but they do it up and it's a perfectly bright red and black, like no apology costume there, no muted red like in the first Deadpool, make it a little more muted so people don't think they're in a superhero movie. But when he comes out and he goes, and it's total Jim Carrey, man. This is like Jim Carrey's Deadpool too. Like he's always had the same great comic delivery and timing and energy of Jim Carrey. So this is almost like, it just feels so true. And he comes out and he goes, and he goes in this monologue. Well, then, I hate to bring it to you, but I think your tailor is a pedophile. But, like he just starts rattling off all this sort of stuff. But it didn't, he's going to this whole thing. Meanwhile, the TVA is using him, and we obviously know he's dripping with villainy when he's like, you could be an Avenger. That villain is so good too. That actor who must be known from something else. I can tell.
I saw him in Pride and Prejudice, but he made a name on Succession. So
Succession, right?
Yeah, he was on
of course. That. Remember that time where you kept seeing people pop up in movies, and you're like, "Where are these guys all coming from?" Rome. They're all from Rome.
Yeah, HBO's Rome.
It's kind of like that now. You're like, "Well, I know this guy's from something." Yeah, Succession makes sense. But anyway, so he's just sort of like, "All right, let's get you on the road and get this going." He stopped jibber jabbering so much, but Deadpool walks up and he goes, and I can't remember the full line, but he goes. To do something about the contract, because unfortunately I cannot read. And I can't remember what the line before it is. This is the best delivery in the movie because, well, I hope so because unfortunately I cannot read. It's like the delivery is just so genius.
I still like, there are 206 bones in the human body. 207 if I'm watching Gossip Girl.
Amazing. Great jokes. Good jokes. How about that opening, man, where he uses...
Oh, it was the best.
Logan's skeleton, which is all made of metal, pointing. I mean, what a genius idea! Like if John Woo did it, you'd be like, only John Woo, man. But no, Sean Levy did it, and that's what a great idea for a set piece. And this entire joke of the set piece is we are going to disgrace the death from Logan, and then he ends up killing everybody with his skeleton. It's just,
and it's and when he's digging him up, you're thinking, oh, he's going to dig him up and bring him back to life. We'll have our adventure. But it's not. Yeah, so even that's just an undercutting of what you expected.
They're always so good at diverting your expectations in the first act and yet somehow giving you everything you want. The let's fucking go line, that's like at 40 minutes into the movie or something. And you're like, did it peak too early? Never, ever. It always looks like they're peaking too early. And you're like, no, we have so much movie left to go. Even after we're done killing all the Deadpools, we got more movie left to go. It's just, yeah.
I started reading an interview with Reese and Wernick, and I got to go back and finish it. But they definitely said they had an RDJ cameo in the mix at one point, but they're glad they cut it because they said literally a half hour before their movie was released nationally, RDJ hits the stage at Comic-Con. It says, "I'm Dr. Doom," and he's like, "Well, I'm so glad we didn't do that."
Oh my gosh! Yes. Wow. Yeah. Some interesting tight timings on the genius moments of Marvel, which shows you how genius Feige is. Like the shawarma thing, they shoot that after the premiere. It's like, wow, it's like they just really perfect these movies. They're really good at making movies, you know? So cool.
All right, well, that's enough of this show.
Yeah. Well, if I've wandered into talking about Deadpool and Wolverine again, then obviously we're out of topics, and I've shuffled into the topic I want to talk about the most. Hope you took care of the contracts because unfortunately I do not read.
No, I got to see that a second time. So
here we go. Well, you know what? We've been so going here. We've got a lot of comments here before we go here. It stops mid-flight to do the bye dance. The TV guy. Oh yeah, right. So good. So good. And the dance is really good. The dancer they got for it's so good. It's so fun. Pillars of Earth. I'm assuming this is the villain from the TVA is what he's talking about. I don't know that.
This popped up during our talk about pulling actors from Rome, I think. I don't know. Was that the Pillars of Earth? Was that something?
Well, I think the actor was also in that, I'm guessing.
Oh, McFadden?
or a lot of people. Yeah, McFadden. Or a lot of people came from Pillars of Earth that are in movies.
I was glad to see McFadden get well, now of course Deadpool and Wolverine's a big deal, but to get on Succession was a huge deal for me to see him do that because he was good in Pride and Prejudice, but Colin Firth so owns that part kind of for history, like playing Mr. Darcy in that British mini series coming out of the water with his shirt sticking to him, and like all of the girls in the world fell in love with him, and now he comes along. I'll play Mr. Darcy too in the Keira Knightley version, and was like, good luck following that. And I don't think he did to that effect, but he was good. So he now got a chance to shine in Succession, and now of course he's great in the MCU.
I mean, what a great villain, because you don't. Yeah, well, and of course Deadpool is like, oh, you must be the British villain of this movie. Another British villain. He makes a British villain joke, It's.
Oh, and you just put this up, but I wanted to ask: is Spawn of the Slithis a sequel?
No, that is the original title.
Oh, okay.
Spawn of the Slithis. The movie poster is Slithis. The movie itself says Spawn of the Slithis. So same movie, but definitely give it a watch. And it's just, again, crazy for all the time I spent trying to prove that movie exists, trying to find a copy on VHS, trying to find anybody else who knew that movie, that you can go to Tubi right now and watch it.
That's crazy.
I think that bolsters our point about how hard it was back in the day, and it's all available now.
All right. Well, as I said, we posted the Working Girl episode of the Ford Fiesta, so go listen to that. Enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
And hopefully next week we can get on here and continue going on about Sabrina, which is where we currently are.
I will now have time to
content creation mode of this show.
I will have time to jump onto your draft of that, and yes, we will be able to do that next week, and easily Air Force One the week after that, I think. And it's a good thing you wrote that because
wait a minute.
Unfortunately, I do not read. It's so funny.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
1, 2, 3.
The show starts in 8 minutes. The show starts in 7 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.